and get off my colloidal oatmeal mask. So the other day, Dominique Morgan did a video where she was talking about um, Jeffree Star, Saucy Santana, and Alonzo. And I want to say before I get into this video that Dominique Morgan is that name is special to me when I hear it. Like I have like a connection to the name because we knew a Dominique Morgan who lived in Louisiana, and we used to call her Deaky. Very intelligent, Gemini like me, but she left here. She left here early, So very dynamic and challenging story that she had. Yeah, so it's a soft spot. But Deaky was one of like Deaky, who was also called Dominique Morgan, had a soft spot because she was one of the originals. Like she was, one of the girls that was first like, known for doing advocacy in the black trans community. So when I hear the name Dominique Morgan, it automatically just shifts something in me, which is probably why I have gravitated to her content in some ways to some degree. Amen. She was talking about Alonzo, Saucy, and Jeff, about how she said they have the sauce because they got the rhythm but not the blues. And this is so true for so many beings who are now really like knee deep in dressing in feminine clothes and wearing the hair and wearing the makeup, but will double down on that. At the end of the day, I'm still a man. I don't know what's going on within people like that because Alonzo, from what I know of their story, is actually like intersex, like literally that's an intersex condition, which is why they're physically intersex. And not saying that all of us who identify as trans aren't intersex to some degree, whether it's a intertwining or some intersectionality going on within our brains, or whether it's something that's actually happening in our physical like body as far as our reproductive organs. I think that the conversation around being intersex needs to expand. It needs to be more profound. It needs to have more nuance so that we can see that there are varying degrees of having these interwoven energies or interwoven DNA or interwoven genetics. At the end of the day, we are one, and I like to compare it to the ocean. There's a wave that's coming in and there's a wave that's descending back into the water. Two things are happening at the same time. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. Yin and yang, dark and light, wrong and right. The day and the night are still connected. They're not foreign. They're still a part of the same earth. We're still experiencing it on the same earth. Like, even though things seem opposite, they are still working parts of the same greater thing. Like, there are still limbs or organs or functioning components of the same whole. Day and night are binary, but dawn and dusk are trans. They're non-binary. And they are what connects the day and the night. Get into it. I just wish that more people who are queer and who defy gender norms did not just try to placate to the status quo or placate to heteronormity and allowed us to just default to this. If I was born with a penis, I'm a man. If I was born with a vagina, I'm a woman. Like, we are a combination of ancestors who have come before us, who have who have come and who keep coming, ancestors who subscribe to labels, who subscribe to gender, who subscribe to sex, and ancestors who did not. And to erase any part of that story is an injustice and it is disrespectful. We come from a long line of beings and they're stitched into the fabric of our DNA. And that's why when people get upset with me for calling myself they, them and say you're delusional for calling yourself they, them. No, I'm not. How is it delusional to acknowledge everything that's in my DNA? This may be one physical body, but do you know how many energies? Do you know how many molecules, how many cells, organs? Do you know how many components that it takes to acknowledge me? For me to be who I am, for me to show up how I show up. They, them. I'm acknowledging everything that come before me, everything that it took to make me. I am they, them. America is one nation, but we can still say them because we're acknowledging everything that's in the nation. New Orleans is one city, but we can still say them because we're acknowledging everything that's in that city. I'm my own universe. There's so many living organisms and living tissues and living cells that represent things that my ancestors have contributed to me. It's written in my DNA. So when I say they, them, it makes perfect sense to a person who actually has a molecule of a brain cell to comprehend. They, them. I'm not going to reduce myself to my genitalia. Because then when they treat me like chattel, whose fault is that but mine? Who's to blame but me when I have reduced myself to my genitals? I had challenged you, Dominique. You clock that? Imagine, let me stop. That's the point that I'm trying to say. And I respect Dominique Morgan for being able to tell her story from the standpoint that she lived 38 years of her life honoring her male self. I did kind of struggle with her saying 38 years as a man because, we know that, part of that you were a baby and a child. So you deduced the child part, you were a baby, you were a child. Then you grew up to be a teenager, who identified as what, a boy. And then you experienced however years of manhood during that time. But, you honor those 38 years before you said, okay, there's more going on in here and I'm exploring. And I applaud you from being able to speak to that standpoint and to be able to share that wisdom and that expertise and to be able to offer that to those who identify as black men, because I think that conversation is more than necessary. So I definitely applaud you for that. And I applaud you for, bringing up the fact that there are a lot of whole ones. There are a lot of non-binary people who just default to I'm a man, and it's really low key about some patriarchy stuff. It's really low key about upholding patriarchy, and you would not expect for that to come from someone like Alonzo, who literally has who literally scientifically would be viewed as is obviously some form of intersex, some form of it, and and just to acquiesce and to claim manhood because this is a patriarchal society and you feel like that offers up you some power in a patriarchal monotheistic Christian reality, it's insane. I don't really have any comments for Jeff because I get it. It reads empty. It reads, you have all the things, all the trinkets and all the trappings, but you're empty and you don't understand it. And there's nothing wrong with, being empty, because emptiness could be seen as the void. But when you don't have an understanding of that emptiness, and you use that emptiness to condemn other people for having the courage to build and create and imagine beyond where you are, that that's sad. That's just sad. That's the only word I could muster for that. It's sad, to try to, oh, there's only man and woman, there's only male and female in your limited mind, in your limited thoughts. But we as human beings have infinite and endless potential as sure as we are connected to everything that has come before us, and we will be a part of everything that comes after us. What is the world that is emerging now from tech and technology? Because soon it's going to be male and female, and it's going to be bots. It's going to be bots, and those bots are going to eventually be able to create. And those bots are not going to need gender to create. They're not going to need sex to create. They're going to reproduce in a different way. And so because you are so caught up in right now that you don't have the vision to see what could potentially be, you don't have the potential to understand how things can start off in one place in consciousness and evolve and metamorphose into a whole different thing that doesn't require what we've initially required to create. Like, there are entities on this planet that are able to create through a parthenogenic means. And if it was possible, it can be possible again. Anomalies, phenomenon happen all the time. Few things are absolute, concrete, and unchangeable. It's just that many of us don't have the consciousness to be able to unravel the secrets and the mysteries that lie in plain sight around us. So whenever you have a perception or a perspective about something, understand that that is coming from your level of understanding, and you should not project your limitations onto other people. Your relationship with the God of your understanding, that's your relationship. My grandmother used to say all the time, what you eat ain't gonna make me shit. What you eat not gonna make me go to the bathroom. Our DNA is different, which gives us access to different experiences, different perspective, and different paths. Honor that. Let's honor that. It takes all kinds to make the world go around. And we are all a part of the divine body, pieces fitting together to create and tell a greater story and to reveal a bigger picture. Amen, a woman. Lelem lele. I love y'all. Lelem lele nation. Purple ones. Rise.